For the first time since their public outburst, Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag will have a physical meeting with Jadon Sancho. It will happen today. This is the week we get to find out the fate of this youngster who joined from Borussia Dortmund just a few years ago as one of the hottest footballers in the world, but has failed to live to the expectations of not only the Manchester United supporters but the manager as well. Now, going public did not augur well with him. Sancho feels he has been scapegoated, but what exactly does Erik ten Hag have to say about his pinned tweet saying he is never going to allow to be spoken about in a way that the boss spoke about him, saying he was left out of the squad for our last game because he did not train so well? Sancho has got to face this ruthless Erik ten Hag. Welcome to the hotspot. My name is Webb, here again as always to burn you with Manchester United news. It's a new week and that's why I'm suited up. I'm hoping it is going to be an exciting one because at the tail end of it we return to the English Premier League where Manchester United plays host to a boggy side in Brighton, which certainly has got to be a good test for our players who have been shining everywhere during this international break that is about to climax. Now, there is also of course, talk that continues about the situation with Anthony Dos Santos. Question is, will his situation have an impact on the direction of the talks that are about to take place between Erik ten Hag, who has by the way been on a short break, and Jadon Sancho, who is expected to be among those players who are not part of the international training or rather international duty, so they should be expected in training today. One person that will not be expected is Anthony Dos Santos, after him and the club agreed that they delay his return from Brazil, where he had been on international duties, only to be dropped later because of bad allegations, staining allegations from several girls against him and his physical actions towards them. Now, guys, well, let's get proper to the Jadon Sancho situation because it is one that many of you will be interested in this week. Now, Jadon Sancho, we know for a fact, has not lived to expectations. He was given a crazy contract when he joined Manchester United, £350,000 per week. That is for a starter, an out-and-out starter should be earning that kind of money. If not, you should be so experienced like Rafael Varane, and maybe your experience and CV could earn you such a huge paycheck. But if you're a young player like Jadon Sancho, it has got to be mostly for your delivery on the pitch because you're young and you're in your prime. So that's how good he was rated when Sancho joined Manchester United. But sadly, he has not been able to live to expectations of many, and those who have known him before from his time at Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund will tell you they are not exactly shocked or surprised by his poor attitude, like many feel he is. His poor attitude is what got Pep Guardiola to send him away from the Etihad Stadium. His poor attitude perhaps is what failed him he did not fail really at Borussia Dortmund, but he was complained about as well at Borussia Dortmund, even if perhaps then the club did not have many options of players. They dealt with him until they got a perfect buyer in Manchester United. Now at United, the ruthless Erik ten Hag feels he cannot deal with him no more. If he's got to be playing games, he has got to put in the shift, and ten Hag took it public, saying he did not select him because he was not impressed. Him and the technical team were not impressed with his levels in training, which is the job of a manager. But Jadon Sancho feels he was just being held as a scapegoat. He trained so well, and the reason he's not selected was beyond footballing reasons. Now, this is not something you expect Erik ten Hag to be cool with. Now, the thing is, and this could be luck for Jadon Sancho, because ordinarily, with all factors constant, ideally, I don't think if this had been a couple of months ago, Jadon Sancho would have any chance of staying at Manchester United. But the situation United are in right now, there is a certain level of desperation that perhaps might get them patient with Jadon Sancho because we don't have Anthony Dos Santos. Of course, now the debate is with Anthony out of the team, who is going to come out there to deputize? Is it Jadon Sancho obviously coming it out there and taking that right wing position for himself, run away with it, prove to the manager that actually he's good? Or is it now going to be Pelistri being given an opportunity to come out there and make his case, throw in the ring for a starting nod in this Manchester United squad in that right wing position? Or are we going to see Marcus Rashford switching with Alejandro Garnacho as the two wingers? One keeps playing on the right and the left. They keep switching between the two of them. It's a brilliant opportunity for any of these three players. Now, for Sancho, it should have been one for himself to claim because he's the most senior player of the lot. But given the situation at the club right now, but also the fact that the technical team clearly are not impressed by this kid, it is certainly going to be difficult to think it is an obvious, place for him to take. So it's going to be interesting. But for me, this is my honest truth. I mean, depending on how the talks go with Erik ten Hag, and like I said, the fact that Antony is not there, perhaps Erik ten Hag and his technical team will be more lenient, more calm, and more tolerant of Jadon Sancho if he comes with the right attitude. But of course, the fact that up to now, that's the pinned tweet on his pinned tweet. It shows you perhaps he's not as remorseful about what he said, and he wants to defend himself. In those talks. But that said, the fact that Antony is not there, maybe Ten Hag will be more lenient and tolerant, and hoping he can just try and manage this kid and motivate him to play maybe until January, and perhaps they can now sell him, because United recently ruled out even a loan move for him, because Al Ettifaq actually, it should be Al Ettifaq, the Steven Gerrard team in Saudi, wanted to sign Jadon Sancho, but United pulled out, saying they are not selling. So what exactly will come out of the talks today will give us a proper direction on whether Jadon Sancho will stay for a long time at Manchester United, or actually at the first opportunity he will be sold, and that first opportunity could come about 4 months from now. That's in January, when that January transfer window opens. So it's an interesting situation that we are in. Interesting in the sense that Erik ten Hag now has got to be a manager. We praise him for being ruthless. You wonder how ruthless he's going to be now, given the situation in terms of the lack of players. So do you want to lose even more at a time like this, or would you rather swallow humble pie and say, you know what, Sancho, what you did is wrong, is unacceptable, but man, we are desperate, let's just try and manage with you, whereas you're not 100%. You give us what you can give us until we settle. I mean, it's an interesting situation that you find ourselves in. But the international break, guys, is getting done, is winding down, and Manchester United players are doing good. Even those players who are linked to United are doing good as well. Hojbjerg's squad, he was one of those who were linked with from Spurs, but Rasmus Højlund also came on for Denmark in their win to Finland. Christian Eriksen played the full 90 minutes. He has been amazing all throughout. Scott, McTominay has been impressive for his Scotland. So in terms of the other players who have been busy in this international break, I think they have put in some good shifts in there, and perhaps that is good coming back into the season, into the hotter funnel as we do come back into it. I feel the international break has done us well, and we should be moving with our heads high, with most of our players happy with whatever is happening now in the international break, and the hope should be that we replicate that, and we are able to deal with Brighton, because this is a side that beat us home and away. They are stubborn and unpredictable. Now, speaking of that, some update concerning Sofian Amrabat. There was talk of an injury concern. Guys, don't you worry about that. Amrabat will be fit, and he is expected, by the way, to make his debut against Brighton this week. In a few days, by Wednesday, I should be giving you a proper confirmation of whether Amrabat will be ripe for his debut, one that we've all been waiting for. Even before we signed him, all of us were wishing this boy can debut with us, because that is exactly what was missing in the Manchester United jigsaw. Now, speaking of Amrabat and his role at United, the young Kobbie Mainoo is also looking and peeping back into Carrington. His return is not far away from us, so we will be seeing proper competition for places in that midfield. And I say that with authority, because this 18-year-old kid is good enough to come out there and compete with all the senior players we have in the middle of that pack for places in the first team. So it is an interesting time to be a Manchester United supporter, there is a lot of expectation in this team given the progress we've been making. But first, now it is management time. Erik ten Hag's management is being put to another test by two young players, Anthony Dos Santos, who has got issues now with his ex-girlfriends, but also Jadon Sancho, who has got issues not only with himself and his attitude, but also with the manager for leaving him out of the squad for our last game, apparently saying he was scapegoated. The crunch talks are on. They will be happening to that Carrington. The players are back, those who have not been busy during the international break. They are back to training. What exactly will come out of the talks, we'll find out that a bit later. For now, subscribe to the hotspot. My name is Webb, and again, glad always to be here banning you with Manchester United news. I will be back in a bit as we do talk more, but for now, that's the quick update. I'll catch you later, guys.